Hi, my name is Lori Von Glun. The resource that I will be demonstrating today is Padlet. Padlet is a website, so to get there, you just need to go to your search engine on your laptop and go to padlet.com. If you are using an iPad or Apple device, you can download the app from the App Store, or if you are using a tablet, then you can download the app from Google Play. Padlet is free for the basic version, which will allow you to have up to 3 Padlets. You can also upgrade to the Pro version at any time, which will give you unlimited Padlets with a variety of other upgrades. Since this is a website, you will need Wi-Fi, but other than that, you don't need any specific device. To create your account, you just click this Sign Up for Free button, and then you will type in the email and password that you would like to use for your account. For today, I already have my account set up, so I'm just going to log in. Now I need to go to this pink Make a Padlet button. On this page, you can choose what layout you would like to use for your Padlet. There's timelines that you could use for students to put events in chronological order. If your students are working on a social studies project where they're learning about different parts of the world and different events that happen there, a map layout would be a great resource to choose. For today, we are going to use the shelf layout. I will click Select, and my Padlet will begin to be made. Over here, I have this panel where I get to customize my Padlet. So for today, we are going to create a Padlet where the students have to talk about severe weather. So that is the title of my Padlet. I can also describe my Padlet, but for today's time purposes, I'm not going to do that. Down here, it has the address for my Padlet. That way I can push this out to my students. It is editable, so I can edit this to make it a smaller URL for my students to easily access. We have some different personalization options right here with our background, color scheme, and font. And then down here, we have different preferences that we can choose from. Some preferences that I noticed that would be great to use with students would be having the author's name be posted above each post. That way you know who posted what. I also want to require approval. That way my students are not posting inappropriate things. And I want to filter the profanity. After my preferences are in place, I'm going to click this Next button. And my Padlet is ready for me to start posting. Now, what I have to do after this is I will have these boxes pop up for me to name my columns, so that way my students have an organized fashion to start entering in their notes. So for today's Padlet, we're going to talk about some tornadoes. We're also going to talk about hurricanes. And then I am treating this as a Venn diagram, so they are going to kind of compare and contrast these two different forms of severe weather. So I'm going to add another column, and they're going to have to tell me how they are similar. So I'm going to label it as such. Now, as a student, this is what my screen would look like, and I would just have to click this plus button and I would be able to respond about tornadoes. Since I click the preference that I want the author's name to be shown, that's why it says that right there. Other options that students can choose from is they can upload different links, they can upload directly from Google, and they can also insert different pictures. In order to push this out to my students and give them this Padlet so they can collaborate on it, I will go up here to this Share button. I can invite members by typing in their email. I can also just copy the link to the clipboard and pass it on to them however I give them the resources. There's also an option for QR codes or embedding it. There's also these different social media options and then ways to export it so that way it can continue to be a live document that they use even after they are no longer typing in on it and collaborating on it. Different ways that I would use Padlet in my classroom is just a note-taking device like we're using today, like a Venn diagram or different 2 or 3 column notes. I have a lot of ESOL students in my classroom, so I would have them collaborate with each other and learn from each other by maybe putting in some different math problems up here, and they have to tell me how they would solve that math problem. We could also just have this be like a discussion board and collaboration board, which would be great for when the students are remote and they are unable to talk face-to-face. I could also put different pictures on here that they have to describe and tell me about. And it was also great that they can insert their own pictures in, and we can kind of compare and contrast those. I also would like to use this with parents and put the QR code on my newsletter, and that way they could see what we are working on in the classroom and maybe even create a discussion forum for them to type on whenever they have questions or comments or concerns for me, and that can be one way that we communicate with each other. Regarding SAMR, this is definitely on the substitution level because we are just substituting a paper and pencil project or note-taking device for this online resource. For Blooms, it just depends on how the Padlet is used and how independent the students are in using it. If the students are just using it to take notes on a topic, we would be more at the remembering level. But if they are using it to compare and contrast, like we did today, then we would be at the analyze level. If you provide students with a choice board, like some of the articles have mentioned, and the students choose to design a Padlet showing a deep understanding of what they learned, then they could hit higher on Blooms. I hope this tutorial helped, and I hope that you use Padlet with your students.